are what you see.
Yeah. Not like your reflection.
Because if you imagine yourself something better,
Say.
Because of what?
if you imagine yourself something better, then you can perform better.
True. If you want to imagine yourself better to the extent of what you talked about in your personal statement is not true.
No.
No, certainly not. It'll come out. And there's, really, overall, really it is, from the personal standpoint, it's not your experiences necessarily that are your typical classical extracurricular stuff that's going to set you apart. What is it that's going to set you apart from your personal standpoint? Certainly should have been educated about stuff. Talk about that. What's the thing, or the group of things that will set you apart in your personal standpoint?
Who you are.
Right, who you are. So what do you mean by that?
Your collection of experiences that you've done.
All right, so personal experiences, not extracurricular stuff. Qualities that make you the person who you are. Those, somebody else next to you could say, oh, I have the same quality. Why you have that quality and how it relates to you and your career goals and everything else is going to be different. But it's really the personal stuff that's going to set you apart. And that's why it's called the personal statement. So certainly you don't want to be cliche. What are the, before we get into it, what are the top 3 cliche things, or the 3 cliche things that everybody likes to do?
I want to
people.
All right, help people, so whether it's medicine, dentistry, PA, whatever, you always want to help people. If it's on the veterinary side, they want to help animals. So don't say that. Say something different. Yes, that's what you're trying to do, but don't say it. What's the other 2?
less science.
To some degree, love science. That's not usually not one of the top 3.
Traumatic life experience.
All right, talk about some traumatic experience that you had, or a friend had, or a family member had, something of that sort. A lot of people do that, and it's fine if you do what with it. What else do you need to do? Right, make it personal. Right, don't just say, spell out all the little details of whatever experience that was, and say, here's what happened to the patient, and that's why I want to go to med school. Right? What is it that hit you the most? Right? What are your personal feelings, your personal reflection on that experience? And then the third cliche thing is what?
Saying you've always wanted to be a doctor, something like that.
Hopefully you're not going to do that. Everybody's okay. This one, probably on top of the list is the medical experience thing. This one's probably second on the list.
Would be like a quote? Or like
A quote from somebody famous.
Yeah, good.
Some people like to put it right at the very beginning before they even start writing. Some people incorporate it into their personal statement somewhere. Don't do it either. Some people start off the personal statement with something in quotation. So it's not a quote from anybody famous. You put it in quotations like somebody was saying, whatever it is you're trying to say. Don't do that either, because why? At least not right at the beginning, because why? The first character they see is what?
Someone else.
It's a quote, or it's a quotation mark, so right off the top of their head, what do they think? Think, oh crap, here we go again. Here's another one of those that's starting off with a quotation. So before they even read the first word, they're going to be having a bad taste in their mouth. All right, so far as what are they looking for? What are they looking for? It's not a secret. Most places say what they're looking for. Every school's going to vary some. You guys know what they're looking for. If you've ever talked to me at all or been through any of this stuff. Certainly this stuff's important. Throw the data in there too. But it's not all they're interested in. For schools that screen your application for secondaries, A lot of them don't, but some of them do. What are they looking for? What's the main thing they look at? Other than coursework and grades and gather that sort of stuff. Right. You always go read your personal statement and see what kind of person are you. And a lot of those that screen pretty well solely decide on whether or not this can be a secondary based on your personal statement. All right, so you're going to have all your extracurricular stuff in there. But again, always think of it in terms of not what you did, in terms of day-to-day activities, but qualities gained. How's that helped you overcome your weaknesses, whatever those may be? How do they help you, or are they going to help you in med school or dental school or PA school or whatever it is? And so always keep that part in mind. Even for stuff that you guys did in high school. You can't put that in the extracurricular part of your application, but there's other places to put it. Personal statements, one of those, maybe one of those activities that sparked your interest in whatever career field that you've chosen. So it doesn't matter what all this stuff is. Certainly it's going somewhere in your application, right? The extracurricular stuff, we know that it's not, I'm sending this out to everybody, but we know that it's not your personal statement. Don't mention anything, we'll get into personal statements in a second. But basically, there's no magic combination of test scores and grades and activities that will create an unbroken path into whatever school you're going to go into. Right? There's always, every school's different, they look at things different ways. And so you really have to be on top of your game. So you guys have said before, the application's a game. You have to play the game right, not for any one particular school, but for all of them. And I don't think any of you in here are dead set on going to the University of Utah and only University of Utah or applying there. If you are, change your mind, because you probably won't end up going there. But so we've got to play the game for all the schools, not just a handful. Even if Duke or Harvard is the top school of your choice, and that's really where you want to go. I'm breaking to you, it's probably not going to happen, but so we've got to play all the other schools as well. So keep that part in mind. Some of the advice and stuff I give you guys later on may contradict some of the things you see on websites somewhere for any particular school. Keep in mind, we're trying to do it for all the schools. And so basically what we're trying to do is trying to sell your stuff. Don't sell the person whose application came just before yours in the review process or just after. And the personal statement is one of those things where if you're not careful, it is really easy to sell someone else instead of selling yourself. All right, so as far as what you do, we'll get to the handouts in a second. But don't start off writing, but start off thinking. And so, different things to think about. I've got a whole nother personal statement packet that I can send out to you guys to post on Canvas or whatever. But just start thinking. A lot of you I've told to, kind of come up with 2 lists. Who I've told that to here? Sarah, I know you're one, I think.
I'm sorry, I was not listening, I was reading that one.
I told him to come up with 2 different lists of things. So your first list is all your extracurricular stuff, right? All that stuff that's going in your application. Make a list, start making bullet points, think about the things you want to talk about. Again, not the things that you do, but the things that you gain. And then make your second list. And what should go on your second list? Tell yourself, I can't put anything on my second list that I put on my first one. That's already in my application or going in my application somewhere. I can't even mention it on the second list. So what do you write on the second list? Is the only reason you want to go to med school or dental school because of the things that you write on the first list? No, probably not. There's other personal desires, whatever it may be, other experiences, life experiences, stuff from when you were a kid, stuff when you were in high school. So based on the second list, think about A couple different things. One is, what else, basically since the day you were born, has contributed to wanting to go into the field that you want to go in, and has contributed to you wanting to go down this career path. And then also think about what are the qualities, what are the things that make you the person that you are. It's really that stuff that's the most important. And that's going to kind of form the basis for your personal statement. When thinking of that second list, obviously write stuff down. You're not going to write paragraph form, just jot little things down as you think about them. But don't think about things that solely can be easily related to whatever field you're going into, or that are directly related to whatever field you're going into. Don't think outside the box. For example, there was a student last year who came in for springtime meetings with me and gave me a draft of his personal statement. In all honesty, I tell everybody it's crap, so I'll talk on that in a second, but his really was crap. It's probably really one of the worst, and it was a draft, but one of the worst things I've ever read in my life. And I told him that. I told you guys, I'll be honest, I told him that. So we started talking about things, and it turns out for him, music was a big part of who he was. He's not a music major. Doesn't play in some rock band every weekend, but music and playing the piano and whatever else he played, I don't remember. But music was a big part of who he was. And a big part of what made him the person that he was. And so we started talking about it and as we trashed the whole draft of his personal statement, he used the basis for his new personal statement was music. And it's, he never thought about music. It's not easily directly tied to medicine in his case. But use that. It took him a while to come up with something and tie everything in, talk about the personal qualities and what made him who he was. And it turned out to be probably one of the best personal statements that I've ever read. Legally, I can't show you this because he hasn't been gone long enough. You guys would probably know who it was. But, so don't just think about stuff that's easily or directly tied to whatever field you want. Think outside the box. Whatever you do, don't just sit down and try and start writing because it's probably something you're going to really later on. And, while thinking, think about what drives you. What is it exactly, be specific about medicine or dentistry or whatever, that makes you think this is the best career choice for you? What's your vision of medicine and dentistry? How are you going to impact that in the short term and the long term? Certainly that's something you want to put in there. Any of you have any idea what medicine or dentistry or whatever you're going into is going to be like 30 years from now? None of us know. But come up with some vision. How do you see it? What's going to happen? After this election, who knows what's going to be the next year, right? But you at least got some time to see how that pans out. But think deep. Don't think about the easy stuff. Think about the hard stuff. Don't write that you wanted to be a doctor since you were a zygote. Don't write how, this one talks about the traumatic experience. Don't write that you want to follow in somebody's footsteps. None of that stuff is personal. You didn't know since you were a kid that you wanted to be a physician. No matter what your story is, you might have read, said you wanted to. You might have some kid's anatomy book in 5th grade. Maybe that sparked your interest, but that's not what made you want to go into whatever field this is. Identify this is what you've done to get here. Again, excluding all the extracurricular stuff. If you've got issues, some of those roadblocks that a lot of people have, certainly plan on explaining them. Whether we do in the end or not depends on a whole slew of things. Some of you I've talked to, some of you I haven't. So if you have 2 W's, any combination of W's or C minuses or belows or audits, 2 or less, you're fine. Don't even worry about mentioning it. If you've got more than 2, start trying to explain it now. If you've got a ton, certainly start explaining it now in your personal statement somewhere. If you've got a violent past, I don't know how else to say that. You've got a past, felonies, misdemeanors, other than traffic tickets, all that kind of stuff. There is a part in the application where you have to talk about it, but it's probably something, depending on what it is, a lot of yours I know about, probably something you may need to put in a personal statement as well, especially for those schools that kind of do a pre-screening and pre-background check type of thing. And so, the key one here is keep that first list twice. Don't even mention anything twice. And so, ideally, don't even mention it in a completely different way. Certainly you want to talk in the case, but don't mention it in a different way. All right, so, and then eventually you're going to put everything together. So basically what you want is by the time somebody's done reading your personal statement, they have sort of a picture of who you are. One question you're always going to ask, and you should ask yourself too, is, I think I write this down somewhere a little bit later on, is at the end of your personal statement, ask yourself, can I, so if you're applying to medicine or medical school, can I replace physician in medical school with PA and PA school and use it for that application? If you can't say no, can't definitively say no, what's wrong? No, you're not specific enough. Or, say, can I trade out med school with nursing school? Use it in a nursing school application. Okay, you can trade out physician and say, social worker. Use that as an essay for some sort of social worker position. So if you can't definitively say no, then something's wrong, something has to change. So basically, part of the bottom, if that person ever meets you, you want them to say, you're just like I imagined. Everything you talk about in your personal statement, I can see it. They're certainly going to ask you about some of that stuff that you're including there. Good idea or bad idea to have somebody else, to give somebody else a list of qualities, a list of experiences, and have them write your personal statement for you.
Terrible.
All right, horrible. There was one person, so I get emails all the time from students in med school and PA school and pharmacy school and at University of Utah, asking me to forward emails out to you guys. You can pay them $100 and they'll write your personal statement for you. Because I've never seen those, most of them I don't send them out. One, you should do it, but two, some of you heard me say this before, it's not uncommon. I don't know if you guys interviewed this year had to do it. Did you ever have to go in and write anything?
Yeah, the U has a written MMI.
Yeah. So some of them have things where you go in and you have to write something. Tell me what you write, or the content, doesn't matter, what are we doing? Making sure your writing style matches. There was one student in this current application cycle who went on an interview. The school he went to, they did the same thing. First thing in the morning, they gave him a piece of paper with a little blank, or a kind of open-ended prompt on it, and said, write a page. So had them all sitting in a room, they wrote a page, and they gathered them all, kind of put them in a holding pen or waiting cell. And they had a whole kind of committee of people that were taking what they wrote, right then and there, and looking at it, comparing it to their personal statement. And there were 3 people that did each comparison. 2 of the 3 people thought that the writing style didn't match what they did. They sent them home, back to the hotel, or whatever. There was one person who I told time and time again not to. He's one that paid for a University of Utah student to write his personal statement. It was a good personal statement, but it wasn't his. And he got sent home for an interview. It was somehow my fault that all of that happened. So whatever, so don't do that. The first paragraph, largely for most of you, the first paragraph and the last paragraph of your personal statement are the most important ones. So the first paragraph does what? What do you want to do with that first paragraph? Right, you want to gain their interest, you want them to, by the end of that first paragraph, tell themselves, I want to keep reading this one. I don't want to set it aside and move on to the 100 others that I have to read today. Your last paragraph is important because you want to tie everything together. And you certainly want to make everything flow. Whatever topic or theme you use in your first paragraph, with each one after that, you want to continuously tie back to it. For certain, in your last paragraph, yes, it is somewhat of a summary, it is somewhat of a conclusion. Don't say in summary or in conclusion. And so, just those two are the most important. Everything in between, yeah, they read, they kind of skim through, but it's the beginning and the end that's the important ones. When you submit your application, and if you're satisfied with your personal statement, usually something's wrong. You should always think that you can do a little bit better. Now certainly when other people write it, they say, all right, it's pretty good, or not, this or I liked it. Or in my case, if I tell you that it sucks, then it's probably not good. What about getting family to read it? And getting your wife to read it?
You gotta take her out first.
Really make them mad first. Why is your wife or your mom going to tell you that you suck? Probably not. Certainly get them to read it for another set of eyes, but take their advice really with a grain of salt. What about getting physician shadow to read? Or dentist or whoever it is.
Most of them don't care.
All right, so it largely depends on how old they are. Some of them won't care. There's certainly some out there that don't mind reading them. If it's an old guy, no matter who it is, old or young, we're going to be reading it as if you like. Unless they've served on an admissions committee in the past, say, 4 years. They're going to be reading it as if it was their personal statement for their application when they applied to that school. And so, things change since they've changed a whole lot. Back then, it was largely all about grades and MCAT scores. How many of you know Dr. Picazzi? So he's an ENT at Ogden Clinic. He loves coming in to talk to you guys. We haven't had a chat in a while because, what to tell you, I sit there and cringe. Basically, it tells you, get a 4.0, get a high MCAT score, and you're in. You don't need to worry about any of that other stuff. That's the way it was when he was accepted. It was probably, I don't know about Ryan's dad, I've never asked him, it was probably largely that way when Ryan's dad went to, was accepted in high school. And so, back in that time, they didn't really care about personal statements. A lot of schools would have just thrown in the trash, it was one less thing they had to read. But certainly now, everybody's going to read those. So you got to make sure that it's good. And be honest with yourself. I'm sure I'm going to be honest with you. Even if I think it's one of the best personal statements I've read, probably at some point I'm still going to tell you that it's horrible and it needs to work, because there's always room for improvement. And so, just read through some of that stuff, but again, you should never truly be satisfied with it. Now, some of you certainly can be. I don't remember. Beck, were you satisfied with yours?
What's up?